Welcome to Big 12 Football Preview. Kristen Keith alongside Wendell Barnhouse. Talk about the college football playoff looms, and the Big 12 leaderboard has been rather inconsistent so far. But the Big 12 mix-up continues in Week 9 with 3 games on the slate. First, it's the league's leader, Kansas State, hosting Texas at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Now, the Longhorns are coming off a win over Iowa State, but how much is that momentum going to help them in Manhattan, Wendell?
Well, I think they're going to need to pack all the momentum they can going up there to Manhattan. This is one of those games that you assume that a team like K-State would kind of win with ease. And Bill Snyder's teams rarely ride the roller coaster. But playing at home against a team with a losing record might give the Wildcats a dose of overconfidence. Now, you don't know which Texas team is going to show up. I mean, the first 5 games, the defense was lights out and the offense was lights off. Now, the offense is rolling. Tyrone Swoops has 800 yards in total offense the last 2 games. And the defense gives up 45 to Iowa State, the most points a Charlie Strong team has ever allowed. Who knows?
Next on the slate, West Virginia travels on the road to Stillwater to face Mike Gundy and the Pokes. Now, Oklahoma State is coming off a rattling loss to TCU, and meanwhile, West Virginia is still riding that momentum from the upset against Baylor. Wendell, what are the Pokes going to have to do to get this win?
Well, Oklahoma State certainly has to do a better job of limiting big plays than it did against TCU. Now, the Cowboys are last in the Big 12 in pass defense. And that loud yell you hear is coming from Morgantown, where West Virginia wide receiver Kevin White is probably doing a happy dance looking at that stat. White leads the nation in receiving yards per game in his second reception. He is in position to win the Biletnikoff Award. And, I think he might get some more stats in Oklahoma State.
The last game on our schedule is Texas Tech at TCU. Now, the Red Raiders finally have a conference win under their belt after defeating Kansas at home on Saturday. But this week is going to be tough for the Red Raiders as they play in Fort Worth and against a very disciplined Gary Patterson defense. What can we expect from this matchup, Wendell?
Well, Gary Patterson really likes his team's talent, but he's especially happy with the attitude. They're having fun in Fort Worth, and I think that was evident in how TCU bounced back from that really tough Baylor loss with a real workmanlike effort in putting away Oklahoma State. Now, you can expect more of the same against Texas Tech, but the Frogs really can't take a win for granted because Texas Tech does have offensive weapons that can make an upset possible.
That brings up our stat of the week that comes from TCU's win over Oklahoma State on Saturday.
Well, we've talked a lot about TCU's new offensive scheme, and that continues to pay dividends as the Frogs had a 400-yard passer, a 200-yard receiver, and a 100-yard rusher in the same game for the first time in school history against Oklahoma State.
That's a wrap for Week 9 football preview. We'll be back next week to recap it all on One True Champion. For Wendell Barnhouse and Kristen Keith, we'll see you next week.